I'm here to remind you that in the middle of the manifestation, this is where the magic happens. So stay tuned. You don't want to miss this. Hey everyone, my name is Kim Velez. I am a former trauma therapist, now turned transformation manifestation coach. I get the privilege every day to wake up breathing healthy and talking to all you amazing souls on the planet. And thank you all so much, because if you weren't here, then I wouldn't be doing what I love. So thank you for allowing me to live my dream life. Thank you for those of you that leave me beautiful comments. Thank you for those of you that watch my free social media. And thank you for those of you that feel called to work with me, that, spend your hard-earned money working with me. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. So let's talk about this, because I'm doing the masterclass right now. And if you're interested in it, you can still jump in. I mean, today is the last day, but you can have access to the replays. And it's all about trusting in the unseen. And one of the things where I struggled with this too, I feel like every human being does, but I'm here to remind you of your power, right? I'm here to remind you that in the middle, from when you decide you want something different to actually receiving it in 3D, that's where the magic happens. That's where trusting the unseen is so powerful. That's where you're either nurturing and watering your seeds of desires that you've said, this is who the fuck I am and this is what the fuck I get, right? Or you're fucking digging them up and you're stomping on them and you're throwing them out, I don't know, somewhere where they can't grow and flourish. So we have to keep reminding ourselves, right, that just because I don't see evidence, just because I'm not, or maybe I'm getting the opposite in a 3D reality, or it looks like something negative is happening, it doesn't mean it's not working out in your favor. And the natural way most people think is, they freak out, right? They're reacting. They're like, oh my God, nothing's changing. Says who? Well, if you say it's not changing, well, then it's not going to change, right? But this is what the work is. The work. This is how you become a conscious manifester. It's not, a conscious manifester is not, everything's perfect, I never ever have an issue, because as you grow and evolve and you start leveling up your life and you call in different things and you have different and new desires, you're going to experience different triggers in your life. Welcome to being a human being. Every human being is triggered. There is no human being on the planet that is not triggered. And even the ones that live, the monks that live up, by themselves and don't speak and have vows of silence and vows of all kinds of things, where they're not living in the 3D world, right? They're isolated in a bubble where there's no mirrors reflecting anything back to them, which is why maybe, I don't even know if that would still apply to them, right? But we'll just say maybe they're not experiencing triggers. But for the rest of us that aren't choosing that as our lifestyle, we are out and about in the real world and we're interacting and we're seeing mirrors reflecting to us in business and at work and our kids' school and with our kids and our SPs and new people. And I mean, everywhere we go. So it's really understanding that being a conscious manifester means I get to choose and decide who I want to be, what the fuck I want to have. And then I get to do the inner work, which is in the middle of it, when I'm feeling scared, when I'm feeling insecure, when I'm feeling doubtful, I still get to choose and decide in that moment who I am and what I get to create for myself. A lot of you think you don't know it's done because you're anchored in the past, you're anchored in your old story of you, you're anchored in your old reality. And so because of those experiences, you're having a hard time forecasting for yourself that this is a possibility. And then when the 3D shows you the opposite or shows you nothing, you're like, see, based off my previous experience, this just makes sense. So you're wrongfully correlating your past with what you get to have in the future. So what I like to do, and what has helped many people, right, is I'm always reminding myself that right now is all that we literally have. Like, yesterday's gone. I'm not in tomorrow yet. I'm right here, right now. And right here, right now, as a conscious manifester, I get to choose and decide what I'm going to think, what I'm going to focus on, and what changing my state of being. And so I get to live in a world that's either from the past and riddled in fear and anxiety and insecurity and unworthiness, or I get to choose a different version of myself who is in the wish fulfilled, who's already decided that she gets to have what she wants, who's claiming her worth and value, and who's changing her state of being to be in a state of trust and peace and relaxation, knowing what she wants is hers. And I do the inner work to anchor myself more into that version of myself that's favorable rather than the old one that I might be activating because I'm triggered, right? So because we only have that moment right now to decide who we're going to be in that moment, it's a choice, whether it's a conscious one or a subconscious one, it's still a choice. But you're going to make it a conscious one as a conscious creator because you're understanding if I feel anxious, I got a program that's, running that's creating the symptom in my body. So it's giving you a guide and an indicator to let you know like, oh shit, there's something triggering in me if I'm feeling this way, right? So we don't want to gaslight the feelings. We want to alchemize the feelings. You want to move yourself into a new version of you. Well, if you did have what you want, if you were in the solution, if you were already over this and this was no longer an issue in your life, if you were in the wish fulfilled, who the fuck would you be? Because you're not going to be riddled with anxiety, fear, and doubts and unworthiness. So it's really tapping into that. It's practicing being in that state because right now, this moment, when you're choosing that for yourself, you're creating your next experience. And the more you're anchoring in right now, this second, that new you, you're creating more and more and pushing out more and more for this reality to be reflected back to you more and more and more. And at some point, you'll reprogram yourself where it's dominantly who you are, and you will dominantly get that reflected back in your reality. And even when you dominantly shift, you still may have moments where a shitty circumstance pops up or something else manifests that is not desirable. It could be some leftover bullshit from your old stories that just were playing out in the 3D, right? And it has to just finish its job and play out. Or it could just be an indicator that there's still, with something in you that still created this experience. But don't get scared because it manifested, you can manifest it the fuck back out. I mean, I've done this a million times. You guys have done this a lot of times too. So it's reminding yourself like, oh, I'm so powerful that even if I call in something I don't want, I can call it right the fuck back out and then call in what I want. This is the beauty of being a conscious manifester. So I love you all so much. I hope this helps. Drop in the comments what you do to support and reinforce trusting in the unseen, because I do believe with self-concept and this piece of trusting the unseen, chef's kiss, baby. This is how we get to be a version of ourselves where manifesting becomes easily and effortless. All right, guys, I love you. I'll see you soon. Bye.